Warning, this podcast is not for the faint of heart. We keep it real and raw and talk about issues that other podcasts wouldn't dare. This is the Truth of the Matter podcast with Dr. Spencer. Step into our world. What do you do if you fall in love with one of your kid's friends who's over 18? How do you handle getting caught in bed with your boss? Why do girls like bad boys? Are you burned out from an unbalanced career and personal life? Are you still working while your kids are telling you how their days went? Our passion is to help people in relationships, anyone you have a connection with in life, neighbors, coworkers, family, spouse, kids, yourself, and helping you achieve the work-life balance. Let's have some fun and let's get educated. This is the Truth of the Matter podcast. And now your host, Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer.
Well, today we have Mr. Deron Harris. So Deron is a comedian, actor, producer, and guess what? Content creator. So if you need content, please reach out to him. If he'll give you his information, although it will be connected, but hey. But anyway, again, I was so intrigued because, again, I always see people driving it, riding around in their RVs and just saying, you know what? I'm going to do this full time. Or like he and I were talking earlier, you just get tired of the bills. I know I'm in Jersey. He grew up in Jersey. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now the average rent is $3,000 and mortgage is like $5,000. How do you afford it? Because our paychecks hasn't gone up. So he and his wife and the 3 dogs decide they're going to take their luck and they're going to travel and just do what they want when they want and work and, just enjoy that RV life. So Mr. Harris, please take it away. How did this start? I know we talked about it. You said you want to try your luck, but please tell me how this, how is it? You and your lovely wife and the 3 dogs in the RV.
Well, it's actually great. We were talking about it the other day. We wish we'd have done this sooner. We had talked about it for about a year. We had seen people doing it, and first it was a sailboat. I wanted to, but my wife can't swim, so we had to have some sort of compromise. And the RV is, I guess we landed on the RV, but then we had to have a particular type of RV. We got a Class A. We didn't buy a new one. We bought it used, and it wasn't too bad. It's a 2004. Our coach is 18 years old, so. But we decided that, like you said, the rent was getting to be where it was ridiculous. I live in Florida, and my wife and I were actually trying to buy a home, and after the pandemic, we just ran into, crazy opposition. Everybody was here, buying homes cash, people coming from the north, selling their homes, for $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000, $600,000 and $700,000 and $800,000, and then they would come down here and buy a $178,000 house cash. So we couldn't really compete with that. So we rented an apartment, and it was a luxury apartment, or so they said. And it turned out to be a pretty bad experience. So our lease was coming up, and it must have been God. We were hesitant on signing our lease. So we had told the leasing office we'd be down there before 5:00, which we were. We went down at 4:30, but the leasing office was closed on that Friday. So we waited, we weren't able to go in and sign our lease. So we waited till the next day. And for some reason, something happened, and we weren't able to get with them again on the next day. And I just said to my wife, I said, hey, do we really have to do this? Do we really have to sign this lease again? Do we have to? I know it's kind of last minute, but do we have to sign this lease, or is there another alternative? And she had said that, well, we were talking about this RV. We should go look at an RV. And I said, yeah, why not? Let's go look at an RV. So we went to Lazy Days, and we went to a Camping World. And we went to Lazy Days first, and they didn't, have anything in our price range. Everything was, astronomical. And it's like, it's like a house payment. So then we went to Camping World, and initially they didn't have anything. The lowest thing they had on the lot was $80,000, and the salesman was like, well, I'll just keep you in the loop. And at the last minute, he said, well, let me go ask my boss and see, what's really going on. So he went and asked his boss, and he came back. He said, well, we have one that just came in, and we bought it. We bought it before it was inspected. And the reason why we bought it is because it was immaculate. And we bought it. It was an as-is purchase because they hadn't had a chance to check it into inventory or anything. It had just come in. And we got in it. It blew cold AC. We drove it. We drove it for a couple of minutes, and then we left and went home and talked about it. And then it was the weekend, so we had decided, what, let's go ahead and do it. So we took a little bit of the savings, and we went and put our coach cost us $21,000, and we put I think $2,500 down. And it's financed for 7 years, and now we live in an RV full time, and that's how it went.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. So you go from like a house, apartment to an RV. We over the time we do accumulate some things. How did you get rid of all your stuff and fit it into an RV?
Well, we haven't gotten rid of everything completely.
Okay.
We have some stuff in storage, but we do plan to get rid of the things in storage because we basically decided, we made a decision. What do we not really need? What do we not need? What do we not need? And the answer was all the furniture. We don't really, we really don't need it. I mean, we buy homes and we buy, and don't get me wrong, eventually I'd love to own a home, but for this time right now, I thought about it like this. We buy homes to keep all of our stuff in. That's the reason we buy a home, is to keep our things, but what if you had a place where you didn't have to have all those things? How much space would you really need? So we kind of looked at it that way. So we have a 30-foot RV, a 30-foot Class A RV. And we decided, well, we can't take any of the chase lounges, the armoires. We can't take anything. We can't even take the large screen TV. Can't take the 50-inch, nothing. Can't take any of that stuff. So we decided, for the time being, we're going to take everything and put it in storage. And eventually, if we do come back to a home, we'll have, some things, but we have decided to just scale down and just scale all the way down. My last podcast was actually about that, about scaling all the way down, just trimming the fat in your life.
That's a part of it, which is great, how you're in an RV. So there's times where, which will bring me to my next question, you're going to drop your internet and things like that. So you can continue your story, and then we'll get a segue into about internet, and your wife works remotely, so tell us all about that as well. And like you said, trimming the fat.
Right. Well, I mean, then that's what we decided, that we don't need a bunch of stuff to be happy. We don't need, because we work and we come home, or and we're just here at the house. I mean, we sit in the same room, we go to the same bed, we go to the same bathroom. It's really really small. It really, the amount of space that you really need to live is actually very small. So we took that into consideration. Now, we do have a large dog. We have a Great Dane and 2 other dogs. And the Great Dane, she weighs as much as I do. So it's actually like having a third person live with you. But the Great Dane, the reason why it's not a problem with the large dog is because the Great Dane, the breed, is bred to be companion dogs. So they're always glued to your hip. So it doesn't need a lot of space. It doesn't need a lot of space to live. Now we have a large field that is next to the campground where we go out and we run, and she gets exercise. But as far as living, she sleeps under my feet, or underneath my wife's feet. If I'm in the kitchen of the RV, she's standing there with us. And it's very small, so it's very convenient for her. Because we're always on top of each other anyway, so that's what she wants anyway. we drop out again?
Oh, sorry. Yep. Okay.
Nope.
There we go. So let me ask you, how do you power your RV? Like with internet and just your electricity?
Well, we just started, so we've been in here officially, just a little bit over a month, and
Okay.
well, there's a few different ways. We chose a campground that has what's called full hookups, which is water, power, sewer, and we have RV, we have it plugged in to the power grid here. We have our black tank hooked to the sewer line, and there's water out. We just put it in the spigot, put a filter on the water hose, and we have water. We have a water heater that heats everything, so we can take hot showers. We have propane so that we can cook. So we and the microwave as well. But it's pretty much it's a house.
Wow.
It's a house.
Wow. So you have like a full bath there too?
We have a shower, a regular shower. It's a little smaller than a conventional shower, but how much space? Again, how much space do you really need? So it seems like I'm running out of battery power to my laptop.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, let me see about that. Hold on one moment. Am I having issues with that? Oh, it's the wrong one. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry
No,
about
you're
that.
fine. No, you're fine.
But that to answer your question, yeah, that power comes off of there's a pole out there, that's just out, and it's in all the sites. There's over 100 sites here where I'm at, and they all have water, power, and sewer. They're all hooked to the grid.
Wow. So how do you decide where you're going to go to next?
Well, it's really simple. You figure out where you've never been that you want to go, and then you call a campground. Then you see if they have water, power, and sewer. You ask them what their rates are, monthly rates. Like the monthly rate here, I'll go ahead and tell you. When we were living downtown St. Petersburg in the apartment, our rent was $2,400, and they were going to go up there. And it was a 1-bedroom apartment, with half size appliances, and it was not, it was not all it was cracked up to be. So, we're not, in that respect, we really didn't lose anything. So, we just decided for us that this was the best move, because if you don't want to be somewhere, you can pick up and leave at any moment. We can go across the country as long as everything, and like I said, it's a 2004. It's got 60,000 miles on it. So it's an 18-year-old coach with 60,000 miles on it. So the engine is, fairly, in fairly good condition.
That's not bad.
We have a generator on board also. We have an own-end generator that'll power the whole coach as well if we are off grid. But we have a water tank, a clean water tank, a gray water tank, and a black water tank. The clean water tank is for drinking water. That is under our bed, and that reservoir is under our bed. And then underneath the coach is the gray water tank, which is water that you shower with, or wash dishes.
He lost power. He'll be back on. Wow. That's an interesting story. I mean, I know some of you, like me, have a lot of stuff. So it's interesting to know that, they went lean. So they put some of their stuff in storage, which, I mean, when you think about it, everyone, right? Especially women, you're only probably using like 15 or 16% of your closets. So this right here is a better alternative, because you're living lean, but then also you're traveling. You're getting to go everywhere that you wish you could have gone. but maybe the timing wasn't right or something like that. So I think this is a great segue to talk about all of that. Again, he talks about how, um, his, I guess, the power and how the motorhome is the generator and everything. So I think that's a cool thing. But he's gonna come back in just a second because again, when you're in an RV, things like that happen. And I always tell people like things gonna happen on my podcast. I am not gonna worry about editing or any of the sort. How you see it is how you see it. And that's really it. And I think people like to get that authentic person. So this is what you're getting right here, authenticity. So we're just going to wait for him to come back on and then go forward. Sorry, I'm like blinking hard. My eyes are burning. Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm
Yeah. I love it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great.
Sorry about that.
No.
Yeah, I'm using two different internet connections.
Oh no, I understand. I completely do. I think it's actually great because if someone's thinking about living in an RV, this is what it is. Can't get much better
Well,
than that.
well, actually, you can. Like I said, we just started, so there are options. There are options for us. Currently, right now, I'm using my wife's hotspot on her telephone, which has a kind of it's like cell phone data, but they make dedicated hotspots like a Verizon Jetpack. It's a little more It's a little more expensive, but you have dedicated 5G internet right here where you are riding down the road. Then you have there's other services. There's a service called Nomad. There's another service called Starlink. The Elon Musk thing, Starlink. You can get a Starlink for $600. I can get a Starlink receiver. The only problem is I can't use the internet while I ride down the road. That's what the jetpack would be for. But when I'm stationary, I can connect to Starlink wherever I am. So that is something that we did consider and something that we did know. And one of the reasons like I said, my mother lives, less than a mile from here. So if it's dire, like if my wife has, important meetings like she did today, then we go down to my mother's house so that she can work, seamlessly. But other than that, she does most of her work off of her hotspot, and I don't use the internet a whole lot. Really just to send my podcast back and forth because I just don't use it. I mean, I do use it, but I use it sparingly, and because I'm creating, so I don't have a lot of time. But my wife has to use it because she works a lot, and me sending heavy files. I just go to my mother's house and send the files via a WeTransfer or something like that.
Wow. Okay. Well, how do you decide how long the length of time you're going to stay somewhere?
Depends on how well we like it. And currently right now, the reason that we're here is, like I said, we just got it. So we are really kind of, someplace where we have a support system so we can get our legs underneath us, like our RV legs underneath us. We bought it in Sassa, Florida, which is just outside of Tampa. And we drove it to Lake City, Florida, which is about an hour outside of Jacksonville. It took us about 3 hours to get here in it. And we burned maybe a little bit more than a half a tank of gas. It gets about 6 miles to the gallon, but we are stationary now. And, it's a vehicle, so it's not like a regular house. You have to turn the engine over every so often to make sure that it runs, and you got to run it around the block, so things work.
Wow.
But there's a lot to it. There's a lot of, but it's not difficult. It's not something that's difficult or testing or trying as of yet. From what I understand, when we disconnect, we got to clean out the black water tank hose, and that's, from what I understand, that's pretty perilous. So I'm not looking forward to it, but it's something that you have to think about when because that was something that we did talk about also. So.
Wow. So how often do you have to change it or clean it?
We just have to empty it. You go out to this, there's a valve outside, and there's a hose that's connected to the sewer, and you just release the valve, and it goes down, it flushes down the sewer line itself, and then you go fill the black water tank up again with clean water and flush it out again. I do it a couple of times. And then there's a tablet that you drop in it to eat all the bacteria and the excess, to eat it away and keep it clean and smelling fresh.
Oh, wow. Wow. So I know the $1 million question everyone asks. I know I ask, because you're in a close proximity of space, and I know you said you guys get along great, but how would you recommend couples or even friends or whomever to get along, especially when you're really like confined?
Make sure you like the person that you're with. Simple as that. Make sure that you are, make sure that you're real, you and your person that you have, make sure that that's the person for you, that you share the same nature. Because if you don't share the same nature, relationship is very hard to sustain. And the two of us share very similar natures, very complementing natures, so it's very easy. We talk very well. She's my best friend, so it's easy. We really don't want to be separated from each other. So, we went through the pandemic together. We went through COVID 2 times together, and, we don't fight a lot. We fight maybe once every couple of months, maybe once, but then we don't stay mad. Maybe we might fight for the whole day, but by the time we go to bed, or if somebody's going to get hungry and somebody's going to ask somebody else if they're hungry. That's how we know that we're ready to stop fighting.
So let me ask you, do you guys how do you, even your grocery shopping, when you go somewhere, do you say, you know what, do you Google or do maps to figure out what grocery store or what hospitals or facilities that's in that area?
Well, it's just, there's regular homes around us. We're in a campground that's kind of out, not really outside of town. It's in this town that we live in, but, there's homes around us. There's, 3 grocery stores right down the street. It would be it's just like living here. It would be just like living here. There are mail services that will get your mail to you wherever you decide you want to end up. If you're someplace for 3 months. Yeah, absolutely. There's one that's pretty cheap. I forgot the name of it, but it's pretty cheap. I think it's like $14 a month or something like that.
Wow.
They'll send your mail to you wherever you are.
Okay, so when they send your mail, what address do you give them? Your license plate?
You can give them, there's a couple of things. Well, they have my mother's address is my home base address. That's my home base address. So, but you could give them the address to the campground that you're staying, and your lot number. Our lot number is 30. So I can have somebody will, say, hey, I'm going to send you something, and I'll send a package, and it'll end up right there, or either at my mother's house. But if I was someplace across the country, if I was to use this service, it would be, it would end up right over here at the office, and I could walk over there and pick it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
It's not, it really, people, I will say it's not for everybody, and a lot of people are afraid of it, but a lot of people are afraid of it because they're thinking in the realm of, oh, we're going to have to pay for this RV and rent and electric and but you don't. And that's the first thing. That's the first hurdle that we had to get over in the mentality of living here in the RV is you don't, it's, you don't have to think about rent. Our rent was $2,400. They were going to raise it. We cut our rent to less than $1,000 a month. That's including the RV note and the lot rent. So it's under $1,000. Yeah, it's under $1,000 a month.
So if you decide to come in at a certain date or leave, do they prorate it so you're not paying for that entire month?
What you can do is you can book it out. You can book out your stay. They'll have monthly rates or daily rates. They all have daily, weekly, and monthly rates, and some of them have yearly rates also. But you can call and ask what the rates are, and you just basically determine how long you want to stay.
Wow.
And that's like before, we have a place picked out on the Atlantic, but there's an island on the Atlantic that has a campground on it. So we're contemplating going to that campground next after here. It's still in the state of Florida, so where we have a support system, and that's what we want to do. We want to jump around a little bit to places where we have a support system so that we can. So if anything happens, I do have, people who could fix it or people who could help me get it to someplace, that I needed to.
Right.
Before we take it across country or, to New York or Chicago or Los Angeles.
Wow. Yeah, you got to come up here. You got to come up this way.
Well, I plan to. There's a campground in Manhattan. There's a lot of campgrounds in New Jersey also. But that's what we plan to do. We plan to go to as many states as we can. I'm from New Jersey, but I was raised in Brooklyn. So I have strong ties to New York and New Jersey, and she is born in Puerto Rico but raised in Chicago. So she has she has ties in Chicago. Actually, my stepdaughter, her daughter, she lives there, and then my son lives in Los Angeles, and then we both have two other children that live in the state of Florida also. So, we go down and visit with our kids, or we were living down there close, for a while. And we have season tickets to some theme parks. So, we spend time with our kids. Sometimes we'll hit a theme park, but that was one of the things that we also got it for, is the ability to go and stay and be someplace with family. Like I said, I'm less than a mile from my mother, so I can stay here for, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead.
I've been here for a month, and the grocery store is downtown or down the next exit down, and my mother has a church in town, so we go to church, and it's just like living here. Only it's when I'm ready to leave, I can leave. We have a car also. It's right outside.
Really?
So yeah, absolutely. We have a car. We have a Honda SUV. So whenever we're ready to, we're parked and we want to go in town, or, we want to go to another town, or, we do that. So we went to Jacksonville the other day. Our RV stayed here. We went to Gainesville the other day. Our RV stayed right here, and we come home like it's home, and it is home. Our dogs are trained, so they stay in the RV, and they all listen well.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you can see, but let me see if I can do.
Oh yeah, I see your wife. Hi, wife. The bathrooms. Okay, I do see. Wow.
Yeah. It's our bedroom is to the back there, and right before the bedroom on either side, there's the shower on one side and the toilet and sink on the other side.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great. But you have to decide what you want to take. You have to decide. You have to trim the fat. What do you love? What do you love? What do you love enough to keep? What do you love enough to throw away or give away or put in storage or sell or whatever? Because, and you think about it like this. There's a lot of stuff in storage that we won't see for a while, and then how important is that stuff? Do I really need it?
Right. Well, you know what? Usually in our house, you're right. I never thought about it like that, but in our homes, we just have stuff that we really don't use.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we don't use, clothes we haven't worn in years that we just collect and they keep. Yeah. They sit in there, and hey, they just take up space. And then when we move, we want to move. Oh, we need a bigger closet. No, we don't really need a bigger closet. We just need to get rid of some of the stuff that we have here.
Right.
Simple. It's simple.
So is it safe to say your children are adults, right?
We do have a 14-year-old, but he is pretty much an adult. He's a genius, but he's pretty much an adult. But yeah, our children are all grown.
Okay, so the 14-year-old, if you don't mind me asking, stays with someone else while you guys are in the RV and traveling?
He's with his mother. He lives with his mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. He lives with his mother they're down in Orlando, which her sister is also down in Orlando. She has a sister and a niece and nephew down in Orlando. So, and my dad lives in Orlando, and so we have family down there also. So, we were looking. There's a campground in Kissimmee with full hookups, which is close to my son, my dad, and her sister, and the theme parks that we have season passes to. And I think it's like $600 a month to be there, to stay there.
That is phenomenal.
So that puts that. Yeah, it's great. It really is great. And like I said, my wife, she's working right now. She works from home. I can't really tell you what she does. All I can tell you is that, she can't really say, because I really don't know, because she can't really tell me. But she works from home. She doesn't have to. Every now and then, they're trying to get her to come into the office for some meeting for 2 days, but she's going to ask them, instead of getting a hotel room, if they will book out a RV site so that we can take our RV, so our whole family can be there. So
wow, I think that's awesome.
And that's the way that we do it, and that's the way that we've planned it. But there are some challenges that we do have, and there's some challenges that we know are coming. Like, one of the reasons that we're here is because, I have some issues with mental health, and I'm here seeking treatment. I'm seeking treatment, and my wife and my mother have been extremely supportive of that. And so is my RV and my dogs and my children, all my children. So that is one thing. One of the reasons that we did get it, so that we could also get back to a pure state of mind.
Wow, I think that's commendable. I tell you, I'm nervous to be doing it, but I see it on TV all the time. And I think if it's something that you want to do, why not do it? I think it's phenomenal.
You live one time. And that's it. You live one time. And so many people are like, oh man, I'd never do that. That's stupid. But is it though? Is it really stupid? Is it really stupid that you get an opportunity to see the whole country if you want to? Right. We don't have to pay for hotel rooms anywhere. That's a huge plus. We can boondock. There's places that we don't even have to pay at all. All we have to do is run our generator, and that's it.
Wow. That is phenomenal. Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you came on to kind of enlighten us on this whole RV life.
Absolutely.
I had questions like, how do you shower? And it was like the basic questions, but really you just clarified, like, this is what it is. And I was
going to say, there's so many other things. There's so many other things other reasons to do it for, we have our set of reasons. Other people have their reasons. But I would say this to anybody who's thinking or had thought about doing it: do it. Do it. Listen, like I said, it ain't for everybody, but like I said, me and my wife, have, we said we should have done this sooner. It is very, very liberating.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily have to be connected to, a brick and mortar house. Now, like, even the town that we live in, like, I hate this town. Like, I hate this town. I graduated high school here, and it's just a small town. I don't really hate it, but it's just not, it's not, there's nothing here. There's nothing to do. There's nothing here. But it's more enjoyable. I enjoy it more now because it doesn't feel so final. It doesn't feel like I signed the lease and now I have a mortgage and I have to stay in this town. I don't have to stay here. Tomorrow my front porch can be different. Next day after that. Yep.
Wow. Well, thank you for coming on and explaining all this RV life. And
Anytime.
I think that if it's someone that you find that, like is a great riding partner or just partner period, hey, why not do it, right? Because we're getting it right firsthand.
It really comes to your point about the relationship. That was one of the things that we had, everybody had asked us, you guys are going to get tired of each other. And I just really, as it stands right now, we got married in March and we met 3 years ago and we've been inseparable. We have, and we don't get tired of each other. We laugh hysterically about something every single day, like at least once. So, like I said, if you're going to do something like this, just make sure that the person that you're with is your person, because that person over there, that's my person. And I know that.
Wow. Well, tell us where we can find you. Like you said, you're a digital creator, you're a producer, like you're just a laundry list of greatness. So please tell us where we can find you.
Well, my website is currently under construction. And I don't really even manage my website. I never even go there. But my podcast is on every podcast platform. It's on the Podcast Playground. It is on Apple. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and it is simply titled The Deron Harris Podcast, spelled DERON. The Deron Harris Podcast. And then my Instagram is Deron Harris Comedian. I am at Deron Harris on Twitter, and Deron Terae, Terae, Deron Terae Harris on Facebook.
Yes,
and I have like 3 or 4 Facebooks or something. But there's one Facebook there. There's
if they probably Google you or just type your name in, I'm sure you'll probably come up.
Yeah, just Deron Harris. You can type my name into Google and I come up. I got 19 episodes. So I'm sorry, 23 episodes coming up. This is my 23rd episode coming up. So I'm new at this. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so very much again for coming on and enlightening us, and tell your wife thank you so very much for letting us borrow you for a couple of minutes, and even the dogs, because I got a fur baby too. So
check it out. Bye.
Look at that.
This is my Dane. Stop it. This is my Bichon down there wilding out, but be quick. But that's my fan. Our Chihuahua is more like a cat, so she hides a lot, sleeps a lot.
Wow. And I'm telling you, I'm like, wait a minute, they got a big dog in there. It must be a little cramped when I'm walking around, but maybe not.
Nope, she lays right here. She lays at my side. That's all she does is she lays at my side. If I get up and move, she gets up and moves. If I don't move, then she lays where I'm at.
Wow. So, I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Well, thank you so very much again for joining us. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties.
That is quite all right.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you got to come be a guest on my show.
I promise. As soon as we finish, I will send you my information and I will be glad to come on.
Absolutely.
I will. Thank you so very much again. And you take care and enjoy the RV life.
Thank you, Dr. Spencer. And thanks.
Thank you. And I'll definitely come on. And bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Truth of the Matter with Dr. Spencer. Yes, we talk about taboo topics, but that's life, and we keep it real and raw. Our passion is to educate and enlighten. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review the show. And we'll be back soon. But if you have a unique relationship situation and you'd like help, or you're tired of having to choose between your career and personal life, Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer is a life alignment strategist and a certified life, relationship, and business coach. So make sure to reach out on Instagram and TikTok at Dr. Lamarr Spencer, on Twitter at Dr. Spencer 15, on Facebook at Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer, and the website drlamarrspencer.com. Or go old school and call 973-214-6464.
Don't forget to purchase the book, The Depth and Diversity with Relationships. Find it on Amazon and the website.
See you next time on The Truth of the Matter.